Okay, some news that broke today. Joshua Buatsi versus Willy Hutchinson for the WBO the interim title at light heavyweight, is now agreed to take place next. They haven't specified a date, but the rumor mill is that that is going to be on the undercard of the Wembley date, which is to be headlined by Joshua against whom? That remains to be seen. But it's rumoured that that will be on that card. So Joshua Buatsi, Willy Hutchinson will not now go to a purse bid. The WBO have stated, so the winner will be interim champion and will be then made mandatory for the winner of Beterbiev versus Bivol, which is happening in October. Now, Buatsi versus Willy Hutchinson, is a good fight. And with recent form, I wouldn't be necessarily picking Willy Hutchinson myself, but on recent form, he may actually open as possibly the favourite because he's been looking a good bit better than Buatsi of late. And common opponent, Craig Richards. Buatsi had a really tough fight, Richards. Some people actually genuinely believe that Craig Richards did enough to win it. Now, it was a very close nip and tuck fight. I didn't feel that myself personally, but some feel as though Richards did do enough. Whereas at Willy Hutchinson, there's not a chance Craig Richards won that fight. No one's even... He did a better job. So that's fine. That's not a bad fight. It's not a bad fight at all. Domestic dust up for a WBO light heavyweight interim title. That's fine. Now. What does this actually mean for Anthony Yarde? Because right now, I hate to say it because I like Anthony Yarde. As a person, I think he comes across as a real cool stand-up guy. I think as a fighter, he's tremendous. And it's frustrating now that he's in his early to mid-30s. He's 32, 33 thereabouts. He's not getting any younger. He's probably only got a couple of years, maybe 2-3 years left of having somewhat of a peak. He probably is actually maybe past his athletic peak at this point anyway. And it's frustrating to see the way his career has been managed. We're pretty much from the get-go, but it seems like the last year, well, really the last 6 months, the management in Team Yarde have just decided, you know what? Have we managed them that well? Well, not really. Do you know what we should do? Should we do a better job? No. Let's do an even worse job. Ho, 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 ho. Let's try and outdo ourselves. Because that's how it seems, to be honest with you, because it seemed like he'd be fighting Joshua Buatsi. He's not. Then emerged that he's having this dispute with Frank Warren where he's saying he's a free agent and willing to have conversations with him amongst other promoters. But then Queensborough are saying, no, you still have contractual obligations. And this is that can hold a fighter's career up something terrible. And again, Anthony Yarde is no spring chicken. And now, the one fight, Joshua Buatsi, which seemed that maybe was the one fight that he was looking out to get, well, that's apparently now off the table. He's going to be fighting Willy Hutchinson. So where exactly does that leave Anthony Yarde? Don't know if he has a promoter now. Doesn't appear to be fighting on any other network. Don't know where he stands with Frank Warren. And the main guy who they were looking to do the fight with is now fighting someone else, another contemporary, who Queensborough are now moving to the top of the card. And Anthony Yarde is now in the wilderness. For what exactly? It's like Anthony Yarde, Yarde always came across to me as someone who, he definitely comes across as more of a straight shooter than Tunde Ajayi. He definitely does. And with Yarde, I never got the impression that he necessarily overvalued himself. I think Yarde is confident. He always believed in his ability. Listen, if he didn't have confidence, he would have froze like that against Sergey Kovalev 5 years ago in Celia Binks. He didn't. And it's a testament to how confident Anthony Yarde is, because this is a kid, he's older than me, a couple of years older than me. But at the time, back then, he was someone who hadn't even come close to world level. He'd only had 10 amateur fights, no real background in the sport. And to show that level of confidence to go over there and perform against Sergey Kovalev like he did and not freeze, shows he's got a lot of confidence in himself. And he trusts his ability. But I never got the impression Yarde overestimated himself in terms of his drawing power. But Tunde Ajayi certainly does. I mean, Anthony Yarde now has no promoter that we know of, has no opponents lined up because Craig Richards has lost. He's fought Lyndon Arthur already twice. Willy Hutchinson is fighting Joshua Buatsi, and Joshua Buatsi's fighting Willy Hutchinson. Who the hell is there at light heavyweight? You're not going to get a title shot because they're fighting one another. You're going to fight Dave Benavidez? Krista or Alexander Vodcek? No. So what are you going to do? And Anthony Yarde, like, I don't get it. Has Team Yarde, Tunde and other people in his team really looked at the situation with Queensberry? Because look at the situation with Queensberry now, with the shows they're doing in the UK, with the relationship Frank Warren has with Turki Al Sheikh. If you're in with Queensberry and you're actually, even prior to all this, in Frank Warren's good books, why on earth would you want to live? And why on earth would you want to leave and try and do the Canelo Alvarez, go independent and have everyone like the highest bidder or to all fight on, when your last two fights have been undercard fights? You've never headlined a pay-per-view. You've done the OVO with Beterbiev as the opponent and you were the world title challenger, fair enough. You had to go to Russia to fight Sergei Kovalev. And again, if you think about it like this, Yarde, when he has been, how many main events has he done over the last few years? I think Lyndon Arthur rematch was a main event. The first fight was a main event, with Lyndon Arthur. He fought an undercard fight in 21 before he fought Lyndon Arthur. He fought... who did he fight in 2022 actually? Because he didn't do all that much. Did he do any main events in 2022 or are they all undercard fights? He did the Beterbiev fight, that was a main event, and his last two fights have been undercard fights. So I don't. Why are they whoever bidding for him getting a major cash cow? And who are you going to put him in there with? Are you going to do Lyndon Arthur 3 at the Emirates Stadium on Sky Box Office pay-per-view? Sure, Tunde will think you probably should, but in reality, you're not going to be able to do that. So Yarde now, not being a spring chicken, 3 L's on his record, no world title shot at all going to happen in the next few months anyway, because both guys are having their fight. Your two other contemporaries who could get you actually a crack at a title shot as a mandatory, well, they're fighting one another now. The Saudis, you could have been on Team Queensberry, probably would have captained Team Queensberry against Craig Richards in place of Willy Hutchinson. In fact, actually, if you think about it like this, Anthony Yarde could have had a spot on that Matchroom Queensberry 5v5, could have got a nice payday plus the bonus that Queensberry got for winning the show, winning the whole competition. And he could be fighting Joshua Buatsi in Wembley Stadium for God knows how much money on another Saudi show. And instead, where is he? Well, we don't know. He's no fights lined up, and with what promoter, I do not know. I mean, just honestly, that when I say it like that, with Lawrence Okoli going to Sky, at the time, although I didn't approve of how he did it in terms of, stuff he was saying about Eddie Hearn, you could kind of see it because Ben Shalom and Boxer, they'd only had about a year, and you'd think, right, Sky is a platform. If Ben Shalom can get these guys, they can do something. It's sort of way they can do something. And I kind of okay, maybe. And at the time, Eddie Hearn, I think they'd done Joshua had lost to Alexander Usyk. He was basing himself back in the UK. We didn't really know. We didn't see the Turki Al Sheikh Saudi experience take a full swing, take a full circle, I should say, the way it did. And I don't think many of us did. But at the end of the day, you could look at Lawrence Okoli and say, well, look, he went to a crowd who offered him more money and it's Sky, stuff like that. What else was he going to do? Fair enough. Because was he just going to be fighting on AJ's undercards? What was he going to be doing? Fair enough. With Anthony Yarde, you're looking at it, you're like, I literally just said it there. You could have been on the Matchroom Queensberry show. You could be on this Wembley show, and you're not. And where are you going to go? What are you going to do? And our network's really going to be bidding astronomical money for someone like Anthony Yarde, as good as he is, someone who hasn't won a world title, who every time he stepped up he's lost to world level, and in spite of what Tunde would say, as good a fighter as Yarde is, and I believe he is a good fighter, does he really draw as well as Tunde would have you believe? I don't think so. He draws, but it's not at it and crazy. He's not going to be touching the likes of Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk versus Chisora numbers. I don't even think he's going to be touching that. Would he even? Would Derek Chisora maybe even be more well known? Certainly, they're both from London. Would he be more well known in London than Anthony Yarde? Possibly, seriously. Possibly. So, yeah, it's Willy Hutchinson versus Buatsi. Good fight. But god damn, I mean, this is just getting worse and worse and worse for Anthony Yarde. And I wouldn't worry about it as much if Anthony Yarde was 27, 28 years old. He's 32, 33. At a light heavyweight. Again, heavyweight, you probably say, you probably could afford to waste a year or so at that age. Probably. Not at light heavyweight. Not at light heavyweight. So, yeah. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he does from here, or what news. I mean, I think Anthony Yarde had his chance in 2020, late 2020, to leave Tunde Ajayi to go and change it up. And I think he needed a change. I think that he took Yarde as far as he was ever going to take him, and I think Yarde needed the change. I've always felt Adam Boot would be a good fit for Anthony Yarde. I just see Yarde's athleticism, his punching power, and the way he likes the box, and I just look and think, okay, that might actually work well with Adam Boot, because Adam Boot likes those types of fighters. And I thought 2020, perfect time to do it. He didn't do it, and well, here we are. Don't know what to say about Anthony Yarde, but Buatsi versus Willy Hutchinson, I like it. I would probably edge slightly towards Buatsi, but that Dan Aziz fight, and he had some moments in that fight, Dan Aziz, and then he goes and draws his next fight. Not ideal looking in terms of that win. Hasn't aged the best, certainly hasn't. Whereas Hutchinson, I wrote him off going against Richard. He proved me wrong. I'm not going to write him off to the extent that I did that time, but I still would be picking Joshua Buatsi ever so slightly. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thoughts on Buatsi, thoughts on Hutchinson, thoughts on Yarde more so. What the hell does he do now? Leave it in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could, and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Peace.